Though it looked like a prop taken from a sci-fi movie set, the Dodge Tomahawk was very much real, with 4 wheels, an independent suspension system, and a huge V10 borrowed from the Viper. It remains one of the most insane vehicles ever built. Back in 2003, Dodge unveiled the wildest concept vehicle ever in the shape of the Tomahawk. Powered by the 8.3-litre V10 engine from the Viper muscle car, it was conceived by Chrysler Group employees Bob Schroeder and Dave Chiz, and unveiled at the 2003 North American International Auto Show. Even though it was intended as a branding and marketing operation, as many as 9 are said to have reportedly been sold via the Neiman Marcus catalogue for at least $550,000 each. It gained massive publicity for the Chrysler Group, much of which was thanks to its biggest talking point: how fast it went. The Tomahawk's top speed was reportedly rated at 420 miles per hour. For reference, the fastest motorcycle in the world currently, the Kawasaki Ninja H2R, has reached a measly 249 miles per hour in comparison. That said, there are no official real-world tests for the Tomahawk, presumably because no one was ever foolish enough to try it out. There's a lot more to this concept though, and here are the 15 mind-blowing facts you need to know. Because the Dodge Tomahawk was a concept vehicle, it didn't undergo the approval testing needed to make it road legal, and did not conform to regulations for street use. This was a pure engineering and marketing exercise by Dodge. Even the estimated 9 bikes sold through the Neiman Marcus catalogue were not street legal, so the bikes were sold non-running to keep themselves from being liable. In fact, they were marketed as rolling sculptures, but that did not prevent the buyers from making the proper modifications needed to get them up and running. The Dodge Tomahawk has a car engine and 4 wheels, but has a design and styling like a motorcycle. This is a cause for debate among car industry experts and followers. The question always comes up whether the vehicle is a car, a motorcycle, or a combination of both that must have its own specific model name and type created. The bottom line is that, by definition, the Tomahawk may have 4 independent wheels, but they are pushed together to form the appearance of one large wheel in front and one large wheel in the back. Additionally, there is 1 seat, 2 foot pedals, handlebars, and handbrakes, all of which make the Dodge Tomahawk a motorcycle. Countersteering is a concept that all motorcycle riders are familiar with. Since the Dodge Tomahawk had 4 wheels, it made this action a little bit harder, so the engineers had to come up with a new suspension concept. The patented design used independent suspension, front and back, with a hub-style steering linkage that allowed up to a 45-degree lean in either direction before the tires lifted off the ground. The Dodge Tomahawk's top speed was a hypothetical estimate, given the horsepower developed by the Dodge Viper engine. A Dodge engineer said, "If a 3,400-pound Dodge Viper goes 190, this will go 400 easily." Later, the automaker revised the Dodge Tomahawk's top speed estimate to 300 miles per hour based on the gearing. This would have made it comfortably the fastest bike in the world. However, this is only an estimation because the motorcycle was never officially tested on the track. That is because the Tomahawk has never been the subject of any real-world road tests. Dodge, however, claims that the bike was tested to 100 miles per hour during internal evaluations. You will need incredible brakes when you have a motorcycle that can reach speeds unheard of in the normal realm of things. Dodge knew this and did not leave the rider hanging out to dry. They installed 20-inch stainless steel rotors for all the front and back wheels. A hand lever activated the front and a foot lever the rear, all of which were connected to 2 4-piston calipers for a total of 16 pistons, 8 in front and 8 in the back. The Dodge V10 is not the engine in the limelight today, having given way to the 6.2-litre V8 found in the Hellcat Charger and Durango. But back in the 1990s, it was the most talked about engine. First unveiled in 1992, it was stuffed under the hood of the new Dodge Viper and had displacement of 7,990 cc, good for 400 horses. The power output was pushed up to 450 horsepower for the second generation, while the third generation of the engine, the one in the Tomahawk, displaced 8,285 cc. Oh, and it had 500 horsepower. Fitting a V10 engine into a motorcycle concept was not easy. To keep the bike low, the engine was changed from the wet sump to dry sump lubrication, with the oil tank mounted at the front of the bike. The cooling radiators were moved into the V of the engine, and the air was pushed through them by a belt-driven fan sourced from a Porsche 911. The four wheels were mounted on the individual front and rear swing arms, outboard at the front and inboard at the rear, and employed hub center steering on the front wheels. Next, the rim-mounted disc brake rotors were used at the front and back, along with a lockable rear suspension. So when it was upright, the Tomahawk could stand independently without needing a side stand. The main chassis components started out as two 750-pound billets of aluminum, machined down to just 25 pounds each. Now, keep in mind that each one of the bikes, all 10 that have been accounted for, was built by hand, so each chassis had to be milled from one massive chunk of aluminum down into a 25-pound piece. It would then need to form a streamlined chassis that was still strong enough to hold a V10 and stand up to the extreme torque that the Dodge Viper engine produced. While Dodge produced just one concept vehicle, Neiman Marcus produced 9 replicas between 2003 and 2006. According to the people at Dodge, the Tomahawk was never meant to be built in large numbers. The concept vehicle was going to be the only one, simply as a way for the company to show their consumers that they were innovative and not afraid to grab life by the horns. The hand-built replicas were not original by design, but by demand because of the great response the showing had in 2003. At first, the press didn't know what to make of the Tomahawk, with one critic calling it one of Chrysler's nuttiest concepts. Others criticized Dodge for disregarding the rules of motorcycle design and for being unable to decide if the Tomahawk was a sports bike or a cruiser. While the Tomahawk was not designed to be taken seriously, critics said the only reason Dodge built the Tomahawk was for the sheer outrage of the exercise, and that it was so resolutely evil it has chunks of VMAX in its stool. What the press says is not always the most crucial reaction that a bike maker, or in this case, a car maker, can get. The public that buys the vehicle is much more important. So when they said wow to the concept bike, Dodge knew that they had made a move in the right direction. However, along with those, they also received more than a few whys. People wanted to know why a company would ever build such a machine. Dodge may not have had a good answer, but most speed junkies can agree that the one true answer is because they can.